everyone. Welcome to Accessible Moms. I'm Coach Tori, and this is my daughter, Jillian.
Hello.
So today's topic is define who you are.
And the purpose of this conversation is to help you tap into who you truly are as a person. So to define what you're feeling and to discover what your likes and dislikes are, what makes you happy, what makes you feel so passionate about something, what triggers you, what makes you upset, what just gives you the ick. So any type of emotion.
What you value, all of that. Yeah. So we're going to jump right in with
Dislikes?
dislikes.
Dislikes.
I think this is going to be a longer video, so it will probably be broken up into 2 to 3 separate videos because this one it's a big one. So dislikes. Where do we start on that one? I mean,
Well, do you want to start with like just something like as simple as like not liking?
as a personal thing in your life,
Yeah, like a certain type of vegetable, or we just
we can start with that.
but we should define at first like what a dislike is, and then like
who are we talking to here? Kindergartners?
listen, I don't know.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I think for me personally, I dislike roller coasters.
I second that.
Yeah. I mean, when I was younger, I went with my friends to the theme park all the time. We had summer passes. And of course, everyone wanted to go on the big roller coasters. And of course, at that time, I went along with the crowd because I didn't want to seem like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. I wanted to be part of the group. So I went on these rides and I was absolutely terrified. I mean, tears, real tears, not from happy, from fearing for my death. And this went on for a long time, probably until my 30s, when I finally said no. You know, and after having kids, I would go on the little kiddie rides with them. Even those made me fearful a little bit because of the way my stomach felt, or I just don't like them.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely the same. I really want to go on them, but my issue is with the height, and then also just that drop feeling. I never like that wobbly feeling that you feel in your stomach.
That's the main thing, right?
Yes, but I feel like for me, because of what you taught me early on, when to say no, or if something was making me uncomfortable, to voice it out. So when my friends and I would go to an amusement park, and then they all love to go on the big rides. And I told them at first, no, I didn't want to. I don't like them. And then they tried to pressure me into going and saying, it's not going to be that bad. You won't even feel it. It's just that quick. And I still was just like, no, I'm not, because I do not want to spill out my guts everywhere. I don't want to pass out. I would be crying. After the ride, I'd be on the floor crying. So I was pretty steadfast with my conviction of telling them right off the bat, no, I don't feel comfortable doing this. And just going by my comfort level, if I feel brave enough to go on like a smaller, like mini roller coaster type ride, then I would do that and just scream at the top of my lungs, but that'll be fine at the end of the day.
Yeah, I would have to say, I wish when I was your age, I was able to do that and not fear losing friends or not being liked and that. So that's why it was important for me when I was doing my own personal work, was to teach you guys when you were younger, because for me, it's a waste of time, and I didn't want you guys waiting until you were in your 30s, 40s, 50s, learning how to say no, learning how to stand up for yourself, and teaching people who you are and not allowing them to define you. By being a scaredy cat or whatever other words out there. So you stand in your conviction, like you said, and it's like, no, I'm not going to do it. So yeah, that was a big one because that was a real fear of mine, and I mean, honestly, traumatic, because one time when I was back in Illinois, where I'm from, I went on a ride, the Eagle. That was the oldest wooden roller coaster, and I sat in
And this was that what was called Great America back
yeah,
then?
it's a Six Flags now. But I sat in the last seat, the last car, and it had a really deep
Decline.
dive. And literally the bar, as we went to the furthest part of the bottom, I was sucked up. And the bar was, I would say, around my shin. And yeah, I mean, I was crying. You could not console me. It was the worst thing ever. So, and it shouldn't take something that traumatic to get you to the point where you can say, no, I don't like that. Right.
Yeah.
So that was a long one for that particular topic, but that's a big one for a lot of people. If you think about the times when you've gone to an amusement park and you see the looks on certain people's faces, I mean, they're not having fun. You can tell the ones that are having fun and the ones that are just terrified. And if all of those people could just say, you know what, I think I'll go on the boat ride or the balloon
Or the merry-go-round.
or the merry-go-round or something like that. So I know this may seem like it's not a big deal, but it is, because it's about you knowing and feeling comfortable to let people know this is where I stand. If you don't like it, ask someone else. Simple.
Another big one, or dislike is anything having to do with horror. People do not like that at all. Horror movies, haunted houses.
Oh, yeah, we won't talk about that. Yeah, no. So, yeah, I have a story about that. When I visited my friend who was a police officer in Iowa, it was around Halloween. And I went to visit her, and she lived in a really old, like, Victorian house with big, heavy draperies, and it was really dark, in there. And the night of Halloween, she had to work. And there was a protest going on between Davenport and Rock Island, Illinois. They're very close to each other. And so she had to go and police that area that night. So, and I was leaving early in the morning to drive back home. So, I'm in this big house. She had two big dogs. I never saw them because they were in cages, but they were big and ferocious. So I'm sitting in this house and I'm watching, yes, this is how old I am, MTV, VH1, and watching videos. And then I'm hearing all of these noises, and I'm turning this way and I'm turning that way. And I remember my friend saying, hey, don't worry, I'll send the guys on duty in this area over, to do a drive-by to check on you. So later on that night, as I'm watching the videos and I'm hearing the noises and, my heart's starting to go, I thought to myself, well, they can do a drive-by, but they're not going to see anything. So I really scared myself to the point where I had a panic attack. And I did not sleep. And I had to leave, I think, at 5 o'clock that morning to drive 5.5 to 6 hours back home. So, yeah, anything scary, I used to watch it when I was younger because I have 6 older siblings. And, at a certain point, you didn't have a choice. And going with your friends again, to horror movies and, all of this stuff, it just really, again, petrified me. But I did it because I didn't want to be left out. I wanted to fit in. And then, yes, there came a point in my adulthood that I said, no more. So I don't watch them. I love suspense. I love figuring things out, but I do not like the slasher, that type of stuff.
Like a paranormal, like anything.
Paranormal, I think I can deal with a little bit. I don't like the scare jumps, the stuff.
Oh, the jump scares.
The
jump scares?
Well, okay. I don't like that type of stuff, but, I have an open mind to, people feeling and hearing and possibly seeing. I mean, can anyone truly explain? I don't know, but I'm not going to deny what somebody feels, right? But it's that thing of someone just really wanting to scare you to death.
Yeah.
I don't like creepy stuff like that. So that was one. What's another one?
Well, I know a huge dislike for me personally is I do not like to drive. And I know of some other people that feel the exact same. It's just, for me, when I'm behind the car, I feel like
Behind the wheel? I got you. My turn.
Yes, behind the wheel. When I'm sitting behind the wheel, I feel like I cannot trust myself with myself or with other people and to deliver them safely to where they need to go. To me, there's just too many rules on the road, and that already messes with my mind because then I'm overthinking like, oh, do I turn left? Do I have the right of way? Or if it's a 4-way crossing, who goes first? And there's just so many things that I get caught up in my head and I'm like, I can't do this. But also because I know how scary the road is with other drivers who aren't paying attention or they're being reckless and stuff. I cannot trust them. And if they were to make a move that would terrify me, I know I would do something and it would just...
Right.
It would frazzle me. So that's my personal choice, is that I do not like to be behind the wheel.
Yes. I can attest to that. And understandably, we live in North Carolina and we have so many people moving here from different places who drive differently, but you still just have people who are reckless. And we'll get into this later about pet peeves. It's my number one. So my kids, have heard me say a few nice words to people who just decided to jump right in front of me while I'm going 50 miles an hour and they decide to jump in front and go 5.
She likes to honk the horn.
No, I don't. I actually don't honk my horn. No, I don't honk my horn because when I was my early 20s, I bought a new car and going to work, I had to take the highway and I honked my horn so much that within 6 months of having my car, I killed my horn. And I chose not to get it fixed because that was at the time where road rage really started. Yes, I'm that old. I'm just kidding. That's when road rage just started, and I thought it would be best for me not to get it fixed. So, but truly, I just feel the reason it impacts me so much is people don't care about others. When you're on the road, I mean, that's a huge machine that can cause so much damage. And why more people don't respect their lives, and then putting other people in danger. I'll never understand, but I love driving. I love driving as long as I'm not stuck in a traffic jam. And I love driving real long distances as well. But yeah, I understand where she's coming from, and a lot of people her age who dislike driving. You know what? There's nothing wrong with not driving. You know, you have public transportation, but there are people in big cities like New York, Chicago, the LA that never learn how to drive or choose not to because it's too expensive to keep a vehicle. But there's nothing wrong with it. And that's another point. That's a good one. So many people will judge you. Well, how are you going to get here? And how are you going to get there? And you can't keep counting on your mom. Well, you know what? If I'm available, yes, you can. Yes, you can. The people who try to make you feel less than because you don't do something they feel they have to do or need to do, those are the ones that can like turn it around and project to you that something's wrong with you. When the whole point is, and she's never, ever had a problem with saying, no, I don't like to. And you know what? I respect that. I wish more people who were uncomfortable with driving would admit it and not get on the road if at all possible, because their fear can actually cause an accident. I mean, we know that when you're not comfortable and we see it all the time. So for her to know, well, I mean, you've always been that way with saying what's on your mind. But yeah, obviously there came a point in time when she began school that you start to see the change from peer pressure and those things. But she's definitely back to who she was before she started school.
Yeah, I did want to learn how to drive initially because for the driver's ed classes, I wanted to be put in the same class as my friend, which did not happen because our schedules were different. Driver's ed, I tried to retain as much as I could, and that didn't happen. But when I knew already that I didn't want to drive, my dad kind of, or I wouldn't say kind of, he did pressure me into saying I did need to get my license and stuff. And I was 15 when I did got my permit. So. Yeah, when I got my permit. But then got my license at 16, and even then I was still just like I don't want to do this.
Wreck.
Yeah. I passed. I had my license, but
We're not surprised about that though, are we?
But ever since I left for college in Chicago, I haven't driven since. That was like 2019.
Yeah.
So I have not really been behind the wheel, and I just can't.
And it's okay. I mean, when you know, and that's the other point. No matter what it is, you have to listen and trust yourself. Forget about what anyone else thinks or says. They're not you, and they don't live in your body. This is about defining who you are, not allowing other people to define you because they don't know you. They don't know you. But if you continue to do things for other people, they're going to presume this is who you are because that's what you're showing them. So it's better to show them, tell them who you are, your likes, your dislikes, your values. We'll always go back to that because, we chose this topic first because it's going to lead into so many more important topics later on in order to get you to do your deep dive into who you are so you can teach your children. That's my biggest point with this channel is not for them to go seek help from someone else later. No, for you to be able to do it because you learn. And that's really what I did with my children after I got divorced and started working on myself to figure out who I was because I lost myself after so many years. But everything that I learned I thought it was prevalent, or light bulb moments. I taught my kids, and I mean, they were only, wow, 7, 10, and 12, something like that. But I taught them everything I learned that I felt was very important, to make them a successful person. Start that early. We need to start that early before others can get to them and skew up their thinking of who they are, you know? What else?
I mean, just something as simple as like not liking a certain type of food.
Oh, I have one. And this is a big one for a lot of people too, that others will try to make you feel, oh, you're so strange or you're so extra. Bees. Bees and wasps, mosquitoes even, but I can deal with them.
Wasps is understandable.
Well, I'm talking about the bees.
You're talking about the honeybees with the stingers.
Yeah. Yeah, a doctor in Germany, when I lived in Germany, told me the reason they were attracted to me was because there was something in my blood. I don't know, but I've been stung so many times, and everyone says, oh, if you don't bother them, they won't bother you. And I call BS on that, because many times I didn't even know a bee or a wasp were around. I got stung. And I wasn't doing anything crazy, you're talking with my hands, to cause it. So I don't believe that. And when I see one, I panic. And I have two funny, not so funny times, but people would think that I was overreacting. First time I was riding in a car with my sister. It was spring, summertime, and we were sitting at a stoplight, and then the windows were rolled down and a bee came into the car. And I screamed and I flipped out, and I took the closest thing that I could find, which was her purse. And I threw it at the bee out the window. And of course she screamed at me, you better go get my purse. So, I did safely. And the second time, we were at the theme park here, Carowinds, when the children were very young. My youngest was a toddler anyway. I mean, he was young. And we decided to get something to eat. So, next to the food area, they always have the trash cans, which
They were attracted to.
And so I was holding my youngest son, and a bee came around, and I literally almost threw him. The thought was there, but I didn't. And, I got the strangest looks from a certain person, and, but people would try to tell you that, it's unrealistic for you to be so afraid. They're not going to harm you. I'm not allergic to where I need an EpiPen, but I am allergic enough to where the pain lasts for a long time. The swelling lasts for a long time. The itch lasts for a long time. So I don't care what people think. I mean, I may, in their mind, overreact, but that's who I am.
I feel like for anyone who's afraid of like an insect or an animal,
snake.
Yeah, like a snake. But isn't most of the fears like rooted from like trauma or something as like a child? And then it like...
Well, I mean, for me, I guess the fear would just be from being stung and know what the pain feels like. I mean, yes, in certain cases, I do believe
because
that.
You hear all those stories of like a child, and then a big dog comes by and then like hurts them, and then that child then grows up to have a fear of dogs.
Absolutely. If being bit, and today you hear more and more stories about that, and they're not only getting hurt, even adults And so that is a fear of a lot of people because, which is rightly so. You don't know these dogs and what they are capable of. The same with humans, though, right?
Yeah.
It's the same with humans. So I just say if you feel a certain way about something, it's okay.
Yeah, because the other people don't know what you've been through.
And you don't know what they've been through.
Yeah, so vice versa. And they shouldn't be able to tell you to get over something when they don't know what happened in your life to do that. So whatever fear whatever fear you have, just know that that is valid and that's just something that...
Yeah. And if it's something you do want to overcome, by all means, seek help. Seek help. And again, just a reminder with this channel, everything we discuss is from our own personal life experiences. Okay, I am a life coach, certified life coach, heart math life coach, a Reiki practitioner. I've done a lot more body work. But this helps me, and it helps me to help others because I work more on feelings, right? And trusting those feelings. So if you feel you need more in-depth help, please seek out a therapist or a psychologist. But I am here to help people from my own life experiences, as a young girl, as a woman, as a mom, because I know the work I did on myself helped me. So that's the purpose. So we're only giving our opinions of what's worked in our lives to help you guys and others. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay. What's next?
Want to veer into more...
Okay, so that was more of the...
like the typical, things that you don't really like.
Right.
But in terms of people and what we could dislike about certain people or pet peeves.
That list is long.
That list is long.
And it's important. Yeah. Because I like to say once you find out your likes and dislikes, you really do that work. It moves to who do you allow yourself to interact with, to having your life. And that's why it's so important for you to do the work to answer those questions for yourself, because until you do that, you may not know your reason for interacting with certain people or keeping them in your life, especially if they're not helpful to your life, right? So, yeah.
I can say the first one.
Yeah.
I know a pet peeve of mine is people who harshly judge you or just judge you out front. And I am guilty of this myself, and I'm trying to...
I think we all are.
We all are, yes. Because obviously when we look at someone based on appearance-wise, the first thing we do is kind of not judge, but we already make an assumption about...
But you grow up with that, whether it's in school, whether it's your siblings, whether it's strangers, whether it's on TV, we grow up with that. So everyone's guilty of this, right? Mm-hmm. The point of this is to basically retrain your brain and says, I don't like this. I don't like when people judge me for my likes and dislikes, and then you shouldn't do the same. So it's important to understand that if you want people to accept you for who you are, then you have to do the same without judgment, right? Mm-hmm. We're all here to learn something, I feel, and what way that is. It's individualized, right?
Yeah.
And you never, like you said before, you never know what people are going through. They don't know really what you're going through. So this is where I say practice the breath or practice the pause. It's just take a breath and it's just ask yourself, how important is this for me to feel this way? You know? Because otherwise we can go right into judgment mode. And, you know, I think that's not helpful to anyone.
Yeah. I'm also talking more in extreme cases, though, if, like, for example, there's a certain career path that you want to follow. And
Well, you've had a lot of experience with that one.
yeah.
Support your children
And
in what they want to do.
then you have someone that says, but you're not going to make a lot of money off of that. This is just a pipe dream. You should be in a field that's more realistic, that can give you a stable income and prepare you for the future and all that. But you know your heart is set on whatever you love doing, what you're passionate about. But sometimes those people will keep harping on you, judging every single thing you do. And obviously from personal experience, I don't like that. That does not feel good at all.
Right. And this is a big topic that we will be discussing in a future video. But that, you know, someone treating you that way is basically saying they don't believe in you. That's what that translates to, right? Especially someone who, you know, you feel is supposed to support you and love you and trust that you're making the right decisions for yourself. And I always say, I mean, when it comes to doing anything, you know, we're all going to fail at something. You learn by doing that. But for me, if a child wants to play soccer, but say they're better at baseball, but they want to try it, do it. At some point, they'll say, I want to continue to do it or I don't. It's their decision. It should be their decision. You know, parents forget, and I know I'm getting off topic with this, but parents forget that they were children once. And if we all take a step back once in a while and put ourselves back in our little child body, as to when we wanted to do something and, you know, we were told no without a real valid reason, you know, mainly making it seem like, you know, you're just not good enough or you wouldn't cut it. We can see where our children are coming and support them more. You know, nothing's forever, so they may not do the same thing forever, and that's okay. I mean, that's my point. But I think the main thing, what you're saying is just support. Don't break their spirit.
Yeah. Just
because your fear is that you couldn't see yourself ever doing something like that, so you put that fear on them. And that's what it boils down to be honest. It's fear. When someone tells you you can't do something, it's like look in the mirror and ask yourself why. You know, it's their life. So yeah, that is, you know, so basically it's people who don't support you, who you feel should.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Another is, well, one of my biggest things are bullies.
Yeah.
Young and old, it doesn't matter. And a lot of times the young ones grow up to be the old ones. I was bullied from elementary through middle school. And that sticks with me. It sticks with my inner child, I believe. At certain moments with speaking out, even doing this channel, I wanted to start this, you know, a good 10 years ago. Yeah, you remember you were very young.
Yeah.
And but that was something I had to continue to work through. But what I've learned in my healing was anything anyone ever did to you that you did not give permission to, that hurt you in some way or another, that doesn't belong to you. You can release yourself from whatever that feeling of what that bully did. You can release yourself of that and just push that responsibility back to them. That was one of the biggest things I learned. It was like a ton of bricks fell from my shoulder, because going through everything, I would ask myself, what did I do? What did I do? And I know I did nothing to cause a lot of this or all of it. I've learned throughout the years to have compassion for the younger bullies, because I realized something must be going wrong at home or in school or both to make them so angry to want to hurt someone else. And although I was bullied myself, I never once thought about hurting someone else. It's just not in me, right? But everyone's different. So, well, I believe, because the only thing I ever really wanted in life, and I've said this my whole life, was to be happy. And that's one thing I'm glad I held on to, and not allow anyone to take my happy from being bullied or, anything else. So I was strong in that resolve that I was going to be happy no matter what. So for me to harm somebody else on purpose was never an option. But I think we need to work with them more. The children who are known, they need compassion, they need empathy, and they need someone they can trust to talk to. I volunteered at my kids' school for a long time, and so many kids who were troubled would come and talk to me when I was there. So I know it can happen. They just need to know someone cares. So if your child or niece, nephew, anyone if they're exerting anger and things like that, just talk to them. Sometimes it's not the parents they need. Sometimes someone outside of that they need to feel comfortable with. But if you see it, don't just turn a blind eye and walk away, because, they're crying out. You can tell just by the look. The adult bullies, I say to that, why, do you know a lot?
Yeah.
But we grow up, and as a child, I don't think you're exposed to a lot and understand a lot. But as adults, you meet different people from all walks of life, as you grow. So at some point, I would think, someone can say, other people are kind, they're doing good things. And, well, I don't know. If they're so deep into the pain, it may be hard for them to see that. And so they're blaming, they go through life blaming other people for them not succeeding, or taking what they think is their job, or, that's a deeper story. That's a deeper topic to get into. But yeah, we do not like bullies.
No.
We do not like people who purposely try to make people feel bad or less than. I mean, you get that a lot at your work too, right? People who come in and just like they don't see you, right?
Or that they take out their frustration that's happened throughout the day on you, and you're just like, I'm just here to give you what you need. Why are you taking this out on me? Why are you getting upset if I mess up a flavor in a drink or something? So.
Yeah. Yeah, I found just because you are happy and smiling, that can trigger some people and they take it out on you. They wish to be happy, but they don't know how. Not an excuse to bully, though. And a lot of them become narcissists.
Yep.
Yeah. Or I should say are. Again, expecting everyone to know what they want, to do what they want. Everybody else is to blame for their mistakes. I mean, they're never accountable for anything. We like kind people. That's a like.